What up, nerds? It's before I start yelling over Whiskey and the Surfer, and you know what? I will break down the various story. Would you pull a gun because your McDonald's was cold? That's a question we're going to answer. What if you gave someone a wet willy? Would they kill you? Further answered. How about running a drug ring out of an Ohio jail and just having open cell phone conversations? I guess butt mobile to butt mobile. Captain America caught trying to burglarize Mississippi property. We're going to get into that because the picture looks like Steve Buscemi got stung by bees. Donald Trump superfans showing off their tattoos of the president in an eye-popping gallery, of course. And what I wanted to do here is a story before the music starts and all of that. And so you can, for those of you who are like, shut the fucking music, shut the fuck up. Make your own fucking show, you fucking idiots. AI synthetic brains will allow humans to be in, quote, 500 places at once. You think you're getting nagged now in one place. Imagine the ability to be nagged at 500 places at the same time. AI synthetic brains are going to allow humans to operate 500 versions of themselves, according to the man behind Amazon's voice assistant. Did you sign up for that? Every breath you take is fed into an AI. Igor Jabla, I'm not even going to say it, believes artificial intelligence will become so advanced we will be unable to distinguish between a real or a synthetic mind, in the same sense that when we were kids, you had a pixel-sized square and you fought dragons in Atari, and one day you will step inside of a virtual simulation and be unable to differentiate between that and absolute reality. Will that change your programming and how you exist inside of it? Would be the question. CEO of Prion, previously founded Yap. How about that? How about that? Ran their Yapper, a fully automated cloud platform for voice recognition, snapped up by Amazon before being used for the power. So there you go. Yapper turned into, isn't that it? Isn't Alexa just going to run her Yap as she fucking rats on you on a federal court? The device uses a non-human voice to communicate with users. Igor warns such technology could change with terrifying consequences. You know what? You can look at everything in a doomsday light, or you can look at everything in all lights, or you can look at everything for the truth that it is. Or if you want to stay on the sunrise side of the mountain of ideas, you can stay there. He told the Financial Times, who's this, the guy who invented Alexa? People will not be able to tell if they're interacting with you or your AI proxy. Right now, you could be doing I'm doing 500 shows right now. There could be 500 versions of you running 500 interviews. What's more, he also believes artificial minds will be able to learn before passing them on to other versions. An algorithm writing code inside of an algorithm with a language we are unable to understand at a mathematical level. Does that mean that just because it's going behind the mathematical comprehension of what humans have been able to figure out, why then have a fear-based component in it if there's just going to continue to be evolutionary change as things change, as we develop tools? But again, what kind of tools are we building here with the data? And again, did you watch the Rogan Nick Bostrom conversation about is this a positive way to look at it? Is this the end of the world? Everybody you can look at it from one side, you can look at it the other. This Alexa device used in homes around the world, hey Alexa, play Baby Shark. We said that so many times at my parents' house, it stopped working. Amazon claims simply does not. It does so to improve speech recognition, and I hope so. They make my transcripts. The statement read, this information helps us train our speech recognition and natural language understanding systems so they can understand your requests in a mathematical fashion and ensure the service works well for everyone. Isn't that great, folks? Employees do not have direct access to information that can identify the person or account as part of the workflow. But if 4 or 5 of them have a conversation, I bet you could figure that out. Last month, video verification boss, he warned a deepfake technology will become so realistic, innocent people will go to jail thanks to, and they already know it. Deepfake porn will be easy as using an Instagram filter very soon. Oh, did they just make me naked as I sit here? So anyways, you can look at this as negative, positive. It's your choice. I don't get all New York hardcore. It is your choice. But the question is, how about that intelligence is just intelligence. That the idea that we're putting artificial on it, in the sense that it's a synthesis between machine and intelligence, and then what the machine intelligence then creates as it can relate to itself as an entity that is engaging in intelligence. In as much as you and I engage in intelligence in different ways, whether if it's emotional intelligence or situational awareness, whatever, people have their fucking sixth senses, and some people have it better than others, and some people take a test and they get a certain number, and some people take the same test and they get to live in a home. They're experiencing intelligence exists in 100% of itself. So that to have fear of it, which means that an infinite intelligence, it gains what? An elevation above our ability to have intelligence. It's just going to experience an intelligence that was already there, that wasn't going to kill us from that level. So instead of looking at this in a negative way, we have to look at it in the fact that it is an art form, in the same way that your life is an art form, if that makes any bit of sense. So if you look at the word artificial or synthetic and take it back to the Greek, and you can take it back to Sumeria, you can take it back to, does it exist in the truth before language was existed? In the truth even before symbol? Did it exist in the truth of silence? Again, if your life is indeed the art project that you're creating 24/7, 365, and as much as you're aware of it, then more than likely your ability to survive at that, in the time before stone, in the time before fire, when we were existing and surviving, and doing so without the ability yet to mimic the animals that we had not yet been able to capture and eat. Like, think about the truth that they're giving to you now. And if you can take it, if it's true, it doesn't matter. Go a million years in the future, you go a million years in the past. It's going to be true because truth is truth. So intelligence is intelligence. The idea that we're putting on artificial, I believe, is a mental trap. And so if you look at the idea of what techne is, I believe it's art, it's craft, it's a craftsman. There's another version of it that says that it's listening. So think about that in your silence. As in your silence, you connect with God's first language, also silence, and then you are, what are you, expectantly waiting, but then you're also listening, and that's where perhaps you get your ideas of, you get your ideas of genius, and you get your ideas of creativity, and you get your ideas of how you're going to change your life based on whether or not you trust the information that you get, and you trust yourself with trusting yourself to have the information that you have. So this is a base and a back. There was a time, I guess it was a time 4500 BC to 2500 BC, and they all shared the same language in a huge giant map, like from like Europe all the way almost like to India, through that whole part of Italy where, all of the major civilizations was. For 2,000 years or 2,500 years, they all spoke the same language. This is phenomenal. So that the idea of techne, it's an art, it's a craft, it's a craftsman. The time where this is being discussed, they've left the Neolithic times. They're in the Bronze Age, where they have new tools that are shiny, but they're shitty. The things that they're building, of course, the stone structures are always going to be stronger than the wood structures. They're going to be stronger than the cheaper materials that just fade away over time. And I will get this done in 10 minutes, I promise you. Or you know what? I don't have any fucking limits on this. I can do whatever I want. Art as listening. Does that make sense? I think we're in a society where instead of choosing to think about in ways where we can improve everybody, we're thinking of ways to really spend your days just to destroy some. That can't be good for your, let alone as a filter of your input and output of your experience, to be filtered through a hate, through somebody else's hate that they're putting upon you to choose to wear as part of this hysteria. For those of us who watched it happen and watched it come and watched it have its rise, and everybody jumping on board of, the train cars as they were added on, Remember, it's Russia, Nazi, white nationalist, 25th Amendment, Stormy Daniels, where is his taxes? That dude's going to lay a royal flush right in front of you. And what are you going to do? You wasted every bit of ammo and truth that you had, and now you got to just take what's coming. You will be in another version of Techni. In different languages, it turned into a thirst. The same word meant thirst in another language, a test. In another language, it meant dry land. So if you think about the fact that one language is calling it dry land, the other language is calling it thirst. And then what's that, a desert? Is it a desert where you are completely free of ideas because you are completely so, I don't know, focused so hatefully outward that how can in that standpoint we can be creating for everybody? So if we can change our very approach to ideas and take our very heart center, and could you imagine, like, you have your heart center, how much you love everybody, and then you're looking at something and you're like, that's what's supposed to be here, through this lens of complete acceptance, complete love, acting the people, treating the way you would love to be treated, and as easy as it is. So the thing is, it's like we live in a society where all of our information is passed on by the dead. It's truth present at our graves, basically. And what will be this truth that we leave on the giant pyramid? No, because we haven't even built one. We've just fucking said, yeah, that's ours for whoever. And so we should be building, instead of building these technological ideas that are at the whim of somebody pulling the plug on all of this. Perhaps we should be building a society that has lasting values and has the same tenets and lasting values that you have in the same tenets that were built on the very structures that are still there, because they were built with the strength to be as eternal as the ideas in which you live in, which is not supposed to be hate. But the issue that we're finding here in our culture is that, hate drives. People want to, whatever we're reacting. And I don't know if it's, I watch YouTube where I'm signed in. I watch YouTube where I'm not signed in, and I watch how it's different. And for some reason, people love people reacting to shit, and I don't get it. I watch like 4 minutes of it, and I'm like, okay, but who's that for? I don't even have the mental I don't get it. I don't understand. Someone explain it to me in the comments. So, if you have a hateful driven agenda where you are trying to destroy the other, you're living in this duality where, you're really just living in a negative life that reinforces a negative opinion. And then for some reason, you get a brain boost from it. And then perhaps because you're really ingrained into your tribe and you are getting incented for this kind of content, no matter what you're doing to the truth, no matter if it's right in front of you and you're just like a bad WWE ref looking the other way. That's what it seems like journalism is now. It's distracted referees. And I think that's in a better way about that. They're just the referees, and nobody came to the event to watch the ref. So you just do your part, but you do your part as the part that you've been allowed to work in. Except now it seems like the ref has his own gimmick, and now they're cutting promos, and they're telling people how the matches should go and who should wrestle and how their storylines should go. Because that's how they always created this information. And now that they're not at the pit of their creation, they're only at the point of their reaction. And the stuff that they're creating is starting from a foundation of lies and falsehoods. Because instead of taking the truth in its entirety, in the same way that we take intelligence in its entirety, right? So then again, there are people who have low IQ, high IQ. You have emotional intelligence, situational awareness. You have some people who are just better, more in tuned to a general why. People just, look, it's a DNA thing that came with us as we survived to this point. And I believe that the trap is to continue to go into this desert where you ran out of 25th Amendment, orange, fucking Cheeto, Russian, Nazi. What's left? What the fuck is left? Nothing. And you're being led into this place. There's no water for you there. But do you realize that you're chasing a fucking mirage that you created? And it's only going to exist as much as people fucking look at the gimmick and go, why are we letting the referees run the show? Why don't we have the true giant voices in America that are really having constructive conversations that make their way into policy? Heaven forbid that we just abandon a red-blue paradigm and look at human beings and listen to them, listen to your fellow man and woman or whatever the fuck we're allowing people to be. And you still listen to everyone with 100% and listen in an artful fashion. And that would still be artificial because it's still a representation of what is happening through your filter. And so you have this conversation is it artificial intelligence? No, it's intelligence that's now being perceived as something beyond us. And if you choose to live your life with it, that's going to be fear, then you can. But seemingly, as that ascends, it realizes that there's intelligence beyond it, or there's a way to tell a mathematical story beyond it. And my mouth is dry as shit. I feel like Bernie said, get fucking, what, socialists don't believe in lozenges? I tried to listen to that debate. It sounded like fucking the first Hellhammer demo where that song intro is like the guy choking to death. Okay, that was Bernie Sanders' sound mixed with Elizabeth Warren's chances. Anyways, so if you think about a desert and you think about the fact that if you are chasing a mirage and you think you are going to strike the water of truth that does not exist, and think about in the sense that what are the four elements? That's why I love you can take any conversation and break it down to the four elements: earth, fire, water, air. And one of my favorite philosophers that I loved reading, Ramon Lull, get into the dude. He's awesome. He's like, the earth is cold and dry. Okay, I'm with you. Fire is hot and dry. All right, that would make sense. Okay, because when you're in a desert, which is earth, it is dry. Okay, that makes sense. And then the sun is out, so that is hot, and it's also dry. So the desert is literally where fire and the earth meet in the totality of what those ideas are. Okay, so then beyond that, you have water, which is a cold fluid. What's cold already? Cold and dry is earth. Cold and fluid is water. What's a desert at night? It's cold and dry because the sun has been removed. The air is hot, moist, which I thought was interesting. So now if we're dealing with, artificial intelligence and how to perceive of it or have a perception of it as you are considering the future of it and considering yourself in society in the future of it. And there's no shortage of ground you can put a doomsday bunker in. And at the same time, perhaps if you had the choice to abandon some of that scarce thinking, we may have ideas that, again, will save the planet and perhaps be able to finance everybody. Okay, so we don't have to have what I can only. That debate last night was, and it's funny, it made fun of Trump for not really being a politician early on, and that his speeches sounded like he was giving away whatever the fuck. And then you listen to these people, it's the same thing. And Beto, he's gonna fucking come and take your AR. He's gonna come and take your AK with his goofy fucking teeth. And his fucking hands move weird. I don't trust that guy for shit. Andrew Yang, I would fucking have a beer with that guy. That is a normal human being. Pete Buttigieg, normal human being. Klobuchar is Hillary Clinton in a Klobuchar costume. And don't be fooled by it. All right? That woman will be president, whether she has to shapeshift into another human being to take the win, all right? Or she just transforms into a demon and just hangs onto the back and just whispers ideas artfully. Invade Korea. Anyways, so that's it. So if you think about the fact that idea-wise, you're in a desert, truth being the flowing cold fluid, all right? And if the cold fluid is not of that available, it's inside of you as a water-based being, All right, the Holy Spirit as it envelops us, in as much as you have gone down that path. All right, it's an air, it's hot and moist, which means that it exists between the sun and your own water is this moist connection. So as you go through the desert and you're seeking water, but you're seeking water through the veil of hatred, and through your veil of hatred, you will only find more hatred, which will continue to finance this chase of a mirage until somebody goes, what are you doing? How fucking long does this go? We see it. Can you stop already? It's like when you're playing hide and go seek, and you're like, did you even try? You're standing behind the curtain. Everyone can see you. Anyways. So if you're in a desert, and I will get back and I will finish this fucking point. If you're in a desert, then the idea of a mental desert, the idea that through the filter of hatred and the filter of division, the trap of duality, the us versus them mentality, and that scarcity thinking from a fear-based perspective, as you virtuously demand the cloaking of all with your insecurity as a security for all. That's a choice you've made, that you have foisted upon a people, and you've put it in a way that they have no choice but to accept it, because if they don't, you label them an enemy, and you and your idiot friends take away their employment, which is sad, okay? So, again, if you're in a desert, you're chasing the mirage, there's water inside of you, but you don't have any. Your very efforts are having your water escape. Now you're real water. Now what that's going to come down to is how much hope you have in the remaining breath that you have, in the remaining air that you have, because the only thing you are going to exist in, all right, is that last connection between your very last choice of being alive, moistness, before you fucking, become roommates with fucking Ruth Bader Ginsburg, all right? And then from that point, it's a connection between your last waning bit of moisture connected to the air. And in that waning moment, do you have complete hope and love and acceptance for that very moment, for the hope of the future, connected, that if all of this can be explained in a mathematical sense, and as much as intelligence will continue to experience the intelligence that it is. And so we are nothing but radios that are picking up all of this, and we are nothing but eyes that should be seeing each other as equal and seeing everyone as they are. And as you see others, you will be seen. You will be judged in as much as you've judged. Or another way to look at this is you will be based on how you loved in this living experience. So if you were at that point in the desert of ideas where you still had hope that perhaps before you expired, a rainstorm came out of nowhere, and what kind of confidence would you have if you came back from that and told that story? And maybe those are the stories that we should be telling, instead of being Jerry Nadler with his fucking pants pulled over his eyebrows, debating the word inquiry as they, get dog walked or pulled by their leash into entrapment. And it further goes into the theory that the people who got in trouble are already in trouble, and those people connected are making political decisions that can only be seen as political suicide. Impeachment is political suicide. A gun grab is political suicide. Red flag laws are political suicide. You have to see that no longer do you control the narrative that your ideas are good and coming from a good place, when we have places around the world that are living inside of those same very paradigms that you would love for all, and in their best life, it's not as good as it is here. And in its worst light, people are starving in the streets. And as they almost meet their maker because they're running out of food, now they're running out of water and they're about to die, and they're in that outer moisture connecting to the air, their spirit leaving this level of intelligence to then become from it. This is a limiting thing in regards to how we can perceive and interact with intelligence. From there, all of this filter is removed. And what do you become? The realization that you have been the entire intelligence the whole time, or as much as you desire to be connected to it through your various choices. And through that thing, if that was your very dream and acceptance that your every second of your day could be seen as work, and if you looked at work as a drudgery, then your life could be seen as shitty. But perhaps this very, very search for truth is your passion and who you are. And then because you have this passion and you have this love for work, and guess what shows up? Money. That's right. And it comes from a place of respect, because money sees itself and the mechanisms that it works with. So as it flows like water, we actually flow as water. And so from an idea perspective, instead of judging where the water goes as good or bad, perhaps we should just enjoy right this very second here on Iron Brigade, where really it does come down to the fact that here on Earth, where it's cold and dry, we should be cold fluid, because again, it's water that we are a sustained everything. And that same water gives us the sustenance. And that's it. And through those hot, moist intentions, and I know people don't like the word moist. All right. I watch your letters on Pornhub. And so that's it. So from a prayer perspective, from a perceptions perspective, from a filter of choice and how you engage every moment, and the fact that you're here is a miracle in itself. I'm sure that every single one of us have neared the point of death, or have left your body, or have seen reality from a situation that is completely unexplainable. And to have that miraculous experience and to find yourself here is no different than the person that climbs out of the desert from the miracle of the rain, and they never gave up hope. And they never gave up hope, even as that last drop waned in their moisture. And again, if you had that hope, and that hope was founded in love, because you understand this whole experience as love in its fullness, and as you experience the greatness of it, then the moment that you're having right now is the miracle that it is. And so then, do you find yourself in line at an Arby's, and maybe you make a better choice? Or maybe you let somebody who looks like they're in a hurry go in front of you. Maybe you buy somebody lunch. If you have that feeling, just go for that gut feeling. It's that gut feeling that kept us alive on the very plains of Africa that got us where we are today, where at this point, we're just running out of ways to call each other racist at this point. So if we're going to live in an artful fashion, perhaps we should artfully look at artificial as not fear-based. And so we should perhaps keep our minds and our listening and our open-hearted listening. As you listen to someone, again, if someone is just going to name call you and attack you, and you're like, well, okay, there are people that will do that for you in that return. That's not the conversation that I'm having. And so you're allowed to have that interaction where someone's like, yo, I'm mad on 11. And you're like, well, who are you? And they're like, no, I'm mad. You're like, oh, that's fine. But that's not me. And that's only us if we choose to be us. That's you choosing to be you all day. I am sorry that is how you experience intelligence, where you let your emotions be connected first as your first filter, and you live in a push-pull serotonin fucking brainwave of your very life as your emotions exist as an ocean. The same ocean of mercy you would have if you looked around and existed in society in a state of non-judgment, which is not perfect. But if you were able to attain that, perhaps you would sit down with a stupid fucking fat look on your face and stare at a flower and understand that you, in that ultimate joyous sense, is the same as that flower, doing what flowers do and humans doing as humans do, which we are moving from a place of destroying to a place of creating freedom for all here on this planet. And so that's it. Intelligence exists. Artificial exists. Take artificial down to the root of what that is. And the root of what that is a test. It's a thirst. It's listening. It's your breath as an art project to create and to give life for all. And if you exist in a passionate way connected to the work that you're benefiting for this planet, then you will be rewarded equally to the fact that your needs have always been met, that your wants, you can admit, have always been a trap, that you realize there is no point of arriving, that the people who have attained the view at the top of the mountain and did anything they could do to get to the top of it are not happy with who they are viewing the world through. And so take life at the simplicity of what it is, at its very root, is that truth and intelligence and fluid and water all flows as reality is. I don't want to get all Bruce Lee on everybody. But again, it's just a choice. Or, you know what? Enjoy this conversation. I'm going to read all those fucking gnarly stories on smokinggun.com because that makes me laugh. And heaven forbid we are able to have our own sense of humor and not forced to adapt the sense of humor of the people who have never had one. Brought to you by the same people who said what's that say? Please subscribe. Yeah, whatever this high-ass video is that behind me, I could watch this thing for hours. It's some fucking Tom Cruise Matrix-ass shit. So, the fuck was I talking about? Class, September 14th, Denver Improv Standing O Comedy. We got, realize you're like, oh yeah, let's do one on Saturday. You're like, well, yeah, but there are people who have varying schedules during the week. So we're going to repackage these ideas that, again, it's all a perspective. But the choice is once you find yourself inside of the perspective and you're really living in a truth that's as true as anything else, then why are you doubting that the truth is not then available in every single other situation that you find yourself in? And again, if somebody's acting physically or mentally or psychologically, or projecting negatively outward, you're well within your rights to not be in that energy or to not even acknowledge that it exists, because it can only come into your world in as much as you see it for what it is. But if it just becomes something of noise in your periphery while it still exists in its fullness, does it really have any impact on you? And if that negativity, it realizes that it's being ignored, it realizes it'll just go seek negativity where it can be found, because it's also moving like water. So then perhaps when you're engaging in negativity or you're experiencing it from an elevated perspective of feeling sorry for somebody who would spend their time like that, that negativity will run downhill. So then if we could lift all human beings to this level where, we treat each other as we should be treated. So, that's it. StandingOComedy.com, JohnTole.net, Nerdario.com. Death Squad Industries is launching. And thanks to Cold Cuts merch, you will be able to get PC Death Squad, Pit Boss 2000, Prohibition 2000, the band that never existed, but has the most 90s t-shirt in the history of 90s t-shirts. And you will be able to get that. And as that stuff becomes available, hats, whatever, then guess what? You'll be able to go there and hit me up on social media at Real John Tole, Twitter at John Tole, JOHNTOLE. I'm on it, but I guess I'm better on Instagram, more connected there. But even that's just like once a day. You really have to, look at social media for the tool that it is. And then you look at each social media platform as a different tool. I mean, how could you get any work done if you spent all day carrying 20 tools? How can you do anything? So conceive of and consider and have the perspective on social media from that place. And that's it. So Instagram at Real John Tole, IGTV, for as much as I want to not waste my life uploading to that garbage platform. Swung on and I fucking miss. Rockfin.com/JT, where you can see me go live on there, which is a phenomenal feature. If you endorse the channel over there, you get all of the content inside of the platform. There you go. So, and we have phenomenal creators, from MMA to comics to writers, people with alternate perspectives. There's a magic forum in there. I have not yet gone and looked, but I'm afraid. I think it's just going to be people arguing about candles. So that's it. Rockfin.com/JT. Endorse the channel. They pay me in Raycoin. Guess what? That is that crypto. That is Rockfin's crypto. So be on the ground floor of that amazing thing. Plus, guess what? They're in Austin, Texas. And we love Austin, Texas. Right? We say hi to Todd. And it says Todd disappears right in front of us, one fucking calorie at a time. That guy's going to turn into a fucking mirage. Anyways, that's it. I got Bohemian Beer Garden Sunday up in Boulder. And what's after that? I don't know. I have a website. Go look. Whiskey and the Surfer today. 5 crazy stories, from pulling a gun out of McDonald's, cutting your fucking dude's dick off because whatever the fuck, and a guy runs a drug operation from a prison using cell phones. And they're a family plan is 4 people with cell phones up their asses, which I believe how they're still able to do that work, even though every bit of that privatized prison has been monitored and all their phone calls are monitored. More than likely, every foot of that thing, if they could ping the prison and find every cell phone in there. So more than likely, the people that are doing work out of there are not being as cloaked as they believe. So I think that's an interesting thing. We'll probably see more of that as it goes. So again, do not be tempted in the desert. What you are chasing for through your hatred and through your division and through your choice to force socialism and communism upon your enemy is a mirage, and it is a snake eating itself. And so the choice is now to pull out and understand that you are led into that direction through a well-crafted hysteria. And while, yes, we should all be loving and allow people to love whoever that they love, and if people have credible asylum claims, that they will be listened to in an artful fashion, that we should agree that the caging of human beings, and I don't care who built them, and I don't care when it happened and whatever, then more than likely there is a better way to do this. And the best thing you can do right now is close your eyes and send some loving kindness to my dog Pancake, who has a bum knee. Anyways, or you know what? Send loving kindness to the rest of the world. Or get online and have a video that you don't believe in loving kindness. You can have that as well. And when I watch that, I will fucking love it. And then what are you going to do about that? Swung on and I drive. That's it. Iron Brigade. I'm John Tole. Follow me on whatever the fuck. And yeah, that's it. When all of a sudden the words are being brought to you, go on the ride to how the word got to you. So don't just take artificial as artificial sweetener, as something to be thrown away, even though, you know, we're in such a plastic society and such a recyclable and such a short use society that unfortunately artificial doesn't carry the word back to art, and it doesn't go back to being a craftsman or a craftsperson or the craft itself. And remember, the people that had the woodcraft were people that were different than the stonecraft, and then they were different than the people who were the guys hitting the fucking anvils, whatever, the smelters, whatever they were. Okay, it was different, and so they had different perspectives on what life was. Literally the same story as that work connects to life itself, but just from a different perspective. And what nobody would accept or admit at the time is that when the people started calling out that the bronze tools that people were buying because they were shiny were breaking faster than the stone tools, which might take longer to use, but the shit that you make is around forever. And they said, shut up, you fucking Nazi. Anyways, johntole.net. Enjoy your life, because what other choice do you have?
4256.